Hey folks, thank you for tuning in. I was going to ignore this drama. You've maybe noticed that there's been gleeful attempts by some to turn the accidentally streamed private conversation between myself and Truthy into some kind of opportunity to completely discredit our content. It's been predictable, but completely rabid if you look at it, and completely fitting that it was all taking place under a full moon, I thought. I made an apology for my part and got on with a video that I'd been working on for a couple of days in order to continue to pass information on. I did say in my apology that I was going to leave it there and I wouldn't be making any more videos on the matter. This obviously gave some people a little bit of confidence, and we've had the drama YouTuber, well-known vindictive shitstirrer Drogyne, and others making some videos on myself and Truthy, supposedly about this leaked audio, but having nothing to do with it whatsoever. So that's all well and good. I was expecting a little bit of that, make hay while the sun shines and all that good stuff. And I'm not going to respond to any of the content within Anne's videos because the content is not real. It's a work of fiction. It requires no response. If you don't believe me, what you need to do is go and ask Anne for some evidence of her claims, as she's provided no evidence to her claims. If you want to believe something without a shred of evidence simply because it feeds into your desire to attack someone else, then you're being used. And I know a lot of people are starting to realise that something isn't quite right with what's happening. The penny certainly has begun to drop for a lot of people in the audience, and this will all come out in the wash, as they say. So the videos that Anne made are just accusations made without any evidence whatsoever. And many of the accusations coming from other circles are simply Anne's complaints dressed up as their own, things that these people have never mentioned before. The best one I saw out of nowhere, presented as an earnest organic thought, is that the Cali interview should never have been put out there because it was simply too hot to hear. This is old news. Why is it being mentioned now? Very strange. It certainly doesn't discredit anybody. The Cali interview is the reason that Anne fell out with me and Truthy behind the scenes a few weeks ago, which we did not mention in public at all. So it's very odd that Anne's talking point is being brought up by other people all of a sudden. When that interview dropped, Anne had what can only be described as a meltdown for some reason, but that's not why I made this video, because I've never had any intention of making background politics public at all. There's a few reasons that I felt that I did need to make this video though, and I will get into those in a minute, but let's start with this one. This might sound a little bit petty, but bear with me. Anne is literally telling people that she never called Truthy Snoop Dogging Dog. Now as I say, this might sound a little bit stupid to many of you, but it's actually a very important point. Truthy had questioned publicly why Anne has, as part of this fallout, begun to call him Snoop Dogging Dog. There's other context here, so bear with me. Anne had emailed Truthy earlier in the day as a follow-up to a previous email that she sent demanding that he remove podcasts which he owns the copyright to, and Anne knows that she cannot copyright strike via the YouTube system. She got no response to her first email asking him to take these things down because Truthy has other things to do than this, obviously. And Anne had also made her first video about me and Truthy at this point, so why is he particularly going to respond to her? So she didn't get a response, so she sent another email to him, this time addressing him as Snoop Dogging Dog, saying, "Oi, Snoop Dogging Dog," and making a threat to release personal information into Truthy's local community. She threatened to release a photo and a voice note which were sent to her in confidence by Truthy, which she believed would be damaging to Truthy. So aside from the fact that this is actually blackmail, and being a blackmailer is indicative of a personality disorder, seriously trying to force someone's hand by holding personal information over their head, which has been shared with you in trust as a friend, is disgusting, no matter how you view Truthy. I'd like to ask how many of you listening have blackmailed a former friend with legal trouble if they don't do something that you want. It's pretty dark, isn't it? It takes quite a lot to go that low. It's a very serious criminal offence for a reason, and if Truthy deletes those podcasts based on that threat, she will just demand that he does something else by threatening to release the same information. So Anne got no response to that email, and she found out that Truthy had been complaining about the fact that she'd been calling him Snoop Dogg and Dog, with the context of everything else that's going on at the moment. So Anne then sends another email to Truthy saying, "Why are you putting it out that I called you Snoop Dogg and Dog? I called myself that on Facebook. Let me see where I called you that." Now Anne did call him that, but she's trying to find out where else she's written it so she can change it. That's what's going on there. Truthy did not reply to this email either. So Anne made a community post to her loyal subscribers saying that Truthy has made false claims that she called him that. She said she only calls herself Snoop Dogg and Dog, and posted a Facebook quiz to prove it. She has made further posts as well, prior to this, denying that she said it on Facebook. One calling Truthy a rat, and stating that Truthy has doctored the email. She's repeated this assertion that Truthy has doctored an email. That is what she's actually claiming, and she says this is evidence of how low Truthy will go, of Truthy's lies, and proof of how Truthy and Chancer's takedown attempts work. Obviously she's just pulling stuff out of her arse, but regardless, it's not Truthy that's lying here, it's Anne. And it's not us trying to engage in a takedown attempt, it's clearly Anne. And it's not working, as it's starting to backfire, and she knows it. Anne knows that she sent that email, so I suggest that she comes clean, because she is going to be completely exposed as a complete liar if she does not. I would come clean as a matter of urgency, to be honest with you. The longer she sticks with this, the more people's faces she's going to be lying to, and the more knots she's going to tie herself into. So why doesn't Anne just come out and admit that Truthy did not doctor that email? Now you might actually wonder why Truthy gives a damn about being called Snoop Dogg and Dog. Well, that's because of the wider context of everything that's going on at the moment. It's because Anne has been making subtle racial jibes at Truthy throughout all this, just subtle enough to dog whistle to the right part of the crowd, like this idiot here who got a pat on the back from Anne, but no likes in the 2 hours that the post was up when this screenshot was taken, I notice. Just subtle enough to dog whistle to morons like that, whilst also not being out and out slurs. For example, she's used this as the thumbnail in her first video to represent Truthy. And if you don't see anything wrong with that, it's because you've never been on the receiving end of racism before. This is how it works. That is a caricatured depiction designed solely to mock Truthy on the basis of race. Anne did this not only once, but twice, when she posted this image in her second thumbnail. Again, most of the thumbnail taken up by a black guy with a massive afro, with some colourful braces and a colourful bow tie. So no doubt some people in the audience do find that funny or innocuous, but once again, that is meant to represent Truthy by mocking him on the basis of race and racial identity, and some people are absolutely lapping it up as well, saying that they love the thumbnails, etc. The serious point is, whatever you think of Truthy for mouthing off with me, what does his race have to do with any of this? What's his race got to do with that leaked conversation? I see people in the comments actually arguing about what race Truthy is, and if you're doing that, you need to take a long look at yourself. I see people acting like they've got the moral high ground, yet they laugh and joke and demean a creator that they probably enjoyed until a few days ago on the basis of his race. He's on the other end of this, having to deal with this, along with being called Snoop Dogg and Dog, in an email, and emails him out of nowhere and instantly says, "Oi, Snoop Dogg and Dog," in an email that goes on to try and blackmail him, threatening to release personal information or information that he wouldn't want to be released. Anne has even joked that she thought blackmail was a racist word. And I would just say to Anne not to try and conflate what she's doing to Truthy with political correctness gone mad, because that is not what's going on here at all. I'm no fan of political correctness at all. I can spot the difference, and I know that plenty of other people can spot the difference as well. And Anne has noticed that other people can spot the difference as well, which is why she's making posts, lying to people's faces, continuously trying to claim that Truthy is making it up and that she's never called him Snoop Dogg and Dog. She doesn't even mention the blackmail attempt other than to brush it off as if it's not as serious as it obviously is. So if Anne only calls herself Snoop Dogg and Dog, which she claims, and it's not part of her under-the-radar racism, her subtle jibes that are designed to mock someone else on the basis of race, simply because she's seen an opening, she's seen an opportunity to jump onto Truthy like this because she knows lots of people are already on the hate train. If she's saying that she never called him that, she only calls herself that, then why does the description of this video contain this sentence? In this video, I reveal why I fell out with What Is Truth, Wheezy, Truthy, Snoop Dogg and Dogs. Are you going to continue to treat your audience like complete mugs and make an excuse out of that as well, Anne? Is it doctored too, is it? You can go to that description yourself and see it for yourself if she hasn't changed it. This just proves that Anne is lying to you. So although it's been spotted in the comments that plenty of people have noticed what is going on, some people might need a little bit more convincing that Anne would be covering her tracks in such a sneaky way and claiming that Truthy is doing it. You might think that sounds pretty far-fetched. Well, one of Truthy's subs, who was not on me and Truthy's side by the way, had earlier on noticed what was happening, and they went on Twitter to say to Anne, why send racist slights though? And that's exactly what they are. There's no need. I really liked you, but sad that you did it. Anne said, point out the racist slights that I made. This person said, I've seen your memes about the rapper and your message calling him Snoop, etc. It's either sly or extremely unconscious. It's the same kind of shit people do to you, but with race. I admired you greatly in part because I know the amount of bullshit us minorities have to go through in life. We shouldn't be shitting on each other in this way, and he never once was discriminatory to you. Anne then said, hasn't he called me a drama queen, referred to me as Queen Anne, and he kept referring to me as auntie and mother, ageism. But you only see race because the truth is you're not comfortable in your own race. That's what Anne said to this woman. She also said, rappers are racist now, I didn't know that. You want to see real bigotry, precious little dear that you are. Then you'll know what bigotry really is. Person obviously responded, Anne, I've been physically attacked, kicked in the head by racists, I've been followed, had my house attacked, don't tell me I don't know bigotry. You should apologise if you have empathy for others who face discrimination too. And then Anne comes out with the remark, racists are you being an asshole that gets on people's tits. So first of all, that's Anne telling this lady that she's just uncomfortable in her own race because she sees that Anne using the most caricatured pictures possible of black people to represent Truthy while making racially based jibes towards him. Calling that out when you see it makes you uncomfortable in your own race apparently, and an annoying asshole. It's not just someone calling out someone else's behaviour. But big, bold, sassy Drogyne who says what she wants and takes no shit, that's why we love her, isn't it folks? Well, she deleted that entire tweet thread. No doubt she will attempt to say that that is doctored as well, but the lady who spoke to her has all the evidence that is required. So yes, Anne deleted that, and I'd also point out her explanation that Truthy calls her Queen Anne as somehow bigoted. Anne calls herself Queen Anne all the time. At one point she obviously became aware that the tide was turning against her, which is why she deleted that thread. She tried to get Truthy to show her where else he'd said Snoop Dogg and Dog. She said it's all part of Truthy's lies and all part of his and my takedown techniques, which is so ironic when that's exactly what Anne's trying to do to us. As I say, she's seen an opening and she has unfortunately Pied Pipered a lot of people along with totally vindictive lies and no evidence, because she knows people don't even want evidence right now because they're on the hate train. It's classic internet. I don't know why Anne assumes that people won't have seen this before. She's got enough of a vocal minority behind her, and it is a very small minority of people who use the like and dislike buttons and the comment sections, and most people comment repeatedly as well, but Anne believes because of that everyone was behind her, and that nobody would call out the racism, and also the fact that she's lying to people's faces, knowing that some of them will swallow it without wanting evidence, which is why she's presented not a single shred of evidence in her videos. Go back and watch those videos with a new eye. The fact that some people are trying to justify and explain the mockery of another creator using race as the stick to beat him with is disappointing, to say the least. This is racial mockery of someone whose podcast you probably enjoyed yourself at some point. Otherwise you wouldn't be bothering to follow this drama at all. You wouldn't go and follow a drama on the other side of YouTube, would you? About people you don't know. Yet you're happy to turn on Truthy, somebody whose podcast you almost certainly listen to, the first opportunity you get, and use racial stereotypes. Those stereotypes, those pictures and names are not just being used as part of a joke, or part of an offensive joke even. They're literally only being used to hammer a creator that you used to listen to. Obviously I'm only talking to the people who've been swept away by Anne. Many of the people who've been swept away by Anne haven't noticed what's happening, so I'm not saying that everyone is taking part in what Anne is doing here. However, many people are jumping on the bandwagon and being extremely unpleasant, and they're showing themselves up quite dramatically in a lot of cases. If you go through the comments, if they've not been removed on Anne's channel, you will see a lot of what I'm talking about. A lot of unpleasant stuff, and I know which side of the line I am firmly on. I will happily stake the ground right now. I am with Truthy all the way on this, and I am completely against Anne. I'm not sure what's worse, this under the radar racist stuff, just enough to be missed by YouTube, in Anne's opinion, or the outright lying, the outright cover-up attempt, trying to tell people that emails have been doctored, trying to claim that the guy you've been jabbing at for days is trying to stitch you up as a racist, trying to say that he's trying to take you down, all because of a leaked conversation. Absolutely pathetic. Anne has been well and truly caught here, I'm afraid, and people who are old hats in this kind of arena, they know what Anne is like. I'm sure they've seen this before. Anne trying to claim that she calls herself Snoop Dogg and Dog because she said it once after she got a rapper as the answer in a Facebook quiz. It's clear as crystal to anyone with a functioning brain and a functioning moral compass what is going on. And I see you in the comments, I know you exist. It can be hard to put yourself forward when so many people are going along with what Anne is saying and doing, but there's still a noticeable amount of people who are figuring out what's going on. And obviously, unlike the claims that Anne has made in her videos, which are clearly designed to cause maximum damage, that's why they're worded the way they are, with no evidence, Truthy can easily prove that Anne is lying. He has all these emails in their original format from the same email address. It will be extremely easy to prove that this email was not doctored. Anne will never be able to prove any of her claims that she made against me and Truthy because they're all bollocks. And she really cannot carry on saying that this email was doctored because it wasn't, and she knows it. So she really better admit to it. Although I'd rather she just sticks with the idea that it's doctored to see how far she goes with it. This unfortunately makes me severely question the veracity of many of Anne's claims. It doesn't overturn what we know with other evidence, but it does prove that Anne is a complete liar and happily makes reference to doctoring emails very quickly. And I'm not sure what the full implications are of that. I'll need to make my mind up about a few things, but I'll have to see what information we've found out in the last few months that is based solely on Anne Drogyn's word. As I say, some people have been Pied Pipered here because they just wanted to go for the jugular of me and Truthy because of the leaked call. They saw their chance to stick the boot in. Not everyone did, not even close to the majority of people, but a lot of people have been led on using one of the oldest tricks in the book. If people don't like someone already, they'll believe anything else about them. They don't need evidence. It's quite easy for a shit stirrer to monopolise that situation and lead people down whatever path they want. Yes, me and Truthy have had a private conversation leaked, and we have got into trouble for that. But can you imagine if we were referring to other creators in racially stereotypical ways? Can you imagine that? Can you imagine how you'd feel? If me and Truthy got heard talking like that, it would be a scandal. It's been clear that many people have been praying and hoping that me and Truthy are taken down a peg or two, and in their own ways, they started going for what they think is the jugular, which is always very revealing. You can learn a lot about somebody when they're in that mode. Now fair enough, people are free to play the game of YouTube however they like, but I would just ask the viewers out there who maybe do see what's going on to take a look around and see who's putting the boot in now that they have an opening, and how they're putting the boot in, what they're saying. Because rather than criticism for the leaked conversation, that me and Truthy had, I'm seeing a lot of people regurgitating Anne's personal grudges, such as the Cali video being put out there, which is strange because that's all history. It's odd that it's coming back up now. And it does bring us back onto Anne's hatred for me and Truthy, which has been burning in the background for several weeks now. I'm not going to show private messages, but about a month ago, Anne asked me never to mention her name again on my videos. And the reason she did this is because she claimed publicly that Truthy had said he'd sought permission from her and from the other people who were named in the now infamous Cali Diamond interview. Now, Truthy never once claimed to have sought anyone's permission to post that interview. That was Anne completely lying. Truthy did ask around if he should do it prior to speaking to Cali, but once it was done, it was going up and that was the end of it. The interview was recorded and broadcast live to hundreds, and right at the end it was immediately put up as a premiere with a thumbnail and tags, etc., because it was the Cali Diamond interview and because this is YouTube. That's why it was done. If you want further reasoning, speak to Truthy about it. But it's not for Truthy to say that Cali's interview was too hot to hear. On the contrary, it was important that people heard that interview. You might disagree with that, but it's not really relevant to this point. The point is that Truthy never said that he sought anyone's permission to air that. He didn't need to seek permission to air it. When was the last time Truthy went around asking for permission for what content to put out? Why is this suddenly becoming a point? Because this was Anne's gripe, not anyone else's gripe. And Anne attempted to bring other people into the equation at the time as well. She wanted those other people to believe that Truthy had gone around claiming that he'd sought their permission before putting the Cali interview up. This was done specifically to try and discredit and damage Truthy in the eyes of people that he looked up to. I noticed this and simply replied to Anne's public post saying that these people should not be under the impression that Truthy said this. Anne said she knows what she heard and that I'm no longer welcome to use her name in my videos, so don't use them out of respect for her, is what she said. Now this exposes another lie, with Anne stating that Truthy and me never give her credit for Daddygate. The reason we've not been mentioning Anne's name is because she asked us not to. Not because we weren't giving credit, even though Anne's credibility for information is now severely in question. Now, if you've watched and enjoyed my videos, you'll know that when Anne says I've never given her credit, that is an out and out lie. She is just lying openly to your face. And I know that the human mind works in the way that in many cases that many people will just put an obvious lie to the side if they don't like someone already. So people are just swallowing that I never gave credit to Anne. But if you're actually honest, you'll almost certainly know that Anne got credit every single time it was due, up until very recently, when she told me not to mention her again. She was mentioned in most of my Attwood videos, and she was hashtagged in many of my titles. So for her to say that we don't credit her, it's her attempting to discredit us with a lie, banking on the fact that we're just going to remain quiet about it, and that people are just going to take it as a fact, even though somewhere in the back of your minds you almost certainly know that we've always credited Anne. And that just proves that there's context to private gossip as well. It's not just out of nowhere that gossip happens. This video is in relation to one person, but there's context to all of it. And just to make you all aware, in case people want to carry on bringing up how wrong it was to air the Cali interview because it upset Anne, and only really Anne got upset by that, Truthy contacted the people that Anne had actually referred to in her public post, the people who she claimed Truthy had sought permission from, and they all told Truthy not to worry a jot about the Cali interview because it was obviously bullshit. They told Truthy to do Truthy and to carry on. People named in that interview laughed at the ridiculousness of the accusations behind the scenes. They didn't address it publicly because it wasn't worth addressing publicly. A bit like Anne's videos on me, they're not worth picking apart because they're not worth worrying about. Anne's videos on me can just stay there as a testament to Anne and who she is. People can look through the comments at their leisure on those videos and they can see who is who, and they can make their own minds up, if Anne doesn't delete the videos, that is. So I just thought I'd clarify that point there for you. But what you have been witnessing, as I said previously, is a takedown attempt by Anne and other bandwagon jumpers. It looked like it was going okay at the start, this takedown attempt, but then people started to see the racial jibes, the blackmail, the attempts to have people dogpile on the basis of race, the sinister undertones, the false claims of doctored emails, the deleted tweets. Many people have seen all this already. This takedown hasn't gone to plan for Anne. She will obviously try and salvage as much of it as she can. She will be trying to save face, no doubt. Just ask Anne for evidence of her claims. You can obviously make your own minds up about this whole thing, but I would just ask you to use your head. There's more than one thing going on here. What Anne is doing, and others who've jumped on the bandwagon, has got absolutely nothing to do with the leaked conversation between me and Truthy. I know some people have unsubscribed, some out of disappointment, some clearly out of being Pied Pipered by Anne, and some who just want to take part in some destruction. I know that feeling well. Some of us just want to watch the world burn. Now, you're more than welcome to stay unsubbed for whatever reason you like. There's absolutely no point staying subbed to content that you don't enjoy. But you're also more than welcome to look at things with a new eye. There's quite a lot of evidence in this video for you to consider. If you like that kind of thing, evidence. Ask Anne for some evidence that Truthy doctored the email and let's see what she comes up with. Again, I would say to Anne, I hope you're really not that stupid to try and pull that off. So speaking for myself, I don't consider Anne to be credible in the slightest. She's clearly lost all credibility due to the way she's been carrying on here, and that may have damaged some of the claims that she's made previously. I'm unlikely to address her or any of the other drama channels again. I don't consider myself as part of your community, where your racist comments about Truthy get hearts and back slaps. If you want to carry on the hate train, then carry on. If you like the way Drogyne is going about things, by all means smash that dislike button. But if you enjoyed the video, please do let me know by smashing the like button. Even if you smash the dislike button at the start of the video, you can always change your mind. Either way, enjoy the endorphins. I'd like to say a genuine thanks to the people who've reached out to me with positivity, but especially those who reached out to my friend Truthy. Please don't forget to subscribe to Truthy, show him some love, the What is Truth podcast. I think there may be some more information coming out soon over there. I'm not sure what the next video on this channel is going to be about, folks, but if you do enjoy the content and you want to follow along, then please subscribe and hit the notification bell. Do appreciate you tuning in today. Many thanks for watching, and I hope you have a great new year. Cheers.